In our never-ending quest to learn how to think like a leader, today we want to look at Stephen, the evangelist. He had a very short ministry. He didn't last long, but wow, the leadership lessons from his life could help us all be better spiritual leaders. Acts chapter 6, watch how Stephen is described as, the problem in Acts 6, the widows are being overlooked, and the apostles say it's not right for us to neglect the ministry of the word and prayer. So we'll turn this over to some people that are already among us. They didn't import Stephen and these others from somewhere else. They looked within, and they found someone with leadership potential and gave him responsibility to feed the widows. And then, of course, that rolled quickly into a ministry of an evangelist with miracles and salvations and eventually persecution and martyrdom. But notice how Stephen is described in a couple of verses. Verse 5. And what they said pleased the whole gathering, and they chose Stephen, a man full of faith and the Holy Spirit. That description, a man full of faith and the Holy Spirit. Then in verse 8, and Stephen, full of grace and power, was doing great wonders and signs among the people, and it describes his preaching ministry. So first he's described as full of faith and the Holy Spirit. Then he's described as full of grace and power. And then there's one more description of Stephen as he's being martyred. And so he only shows up in these few chapters. Toward the end, he's about to be killed. He's standing before the judges and all of this mock trial that's going on. In verse 54 of Acts 7. Now when they heard these things, they were enraged, and they ground their teeth at him. This is Stephen testifying and defending himself. Verse 55, but he, full of the Holy Spirit, gazed into heaven and saw the glory of God and Jesus standing at the right hand of God. So he's described as full of faith and the Holy Spirit, full of grace and power. And then this one, just full of the Holy Spirit. Oh, I hope that people describing us as spiritual leaders would include faith, the Holy Spirit, grace, power, and the Holy Spirit. We're all filling our heads with something. We're all filling our minds with something. We're all filling our hearts with something. We're filling our schedules with something. We're filling our time. We're filling our day. We're filling the way we spend our money. We're constantly filling up. And I hope it's with faith, filling our hearts and heads with faith, filling our mouth with faith, with the Holy Spirit, being filled constantly, not a one and done, but being filled with the Holy Spirit on a regular basis, filled with grace. That's what marked him as an evangelist, filled with grace and power, the miracles and all that. And then the final description, as he's dying and gazing into heaven, filled with the Holy Spirit. When I think about being filled, I'm reminded of a motorcycle trip. My son and I and some buddies, some Every Nation people from around the world, we were on a motorcycle trip in the mountains near Nashville, a few hours away in the Smoky Mountains. And one of the riders was relatively new, had a relatively new motorcycle and hadn't done this a whole lot. And we pulled into a gas station. And in America, you fill up your own tanks. I know many places in the world, someone comes out and does it for you, so there's never a problem. But we pull up to this in the little mountain village and pretty rural place, and we pull in there. Now, in America, I don't know how it is in your nation, but in America, when you're putting gasoline in your car, there's a black handle, a black nozzle. You get the black one. That means it's gasoline. You put it in your motorcycle. Now, there's a green one, and the green one is diesel. I don't know why green is diesel, but you've got the black one is gasoline and the green one is diesel. So you just, you go and you fill it up. It's just routine. But there's one problem. There's one exception. BP, British Petroleum. Yeah, BP. I don't know why they do this. I don't know why they're messing with the whole world. No idea why they do it. Their logo is green and yellow. I don't understand that either. It's British. It should be red, white, and blue. But here we go. BP. British Petroleum, we pull up, it's a BP station, and this newer member of our riding group, we all fill up our bikes, so we're at BP. It's the opposite. The green handle is gasoline, and the black one is diesel. Okay, so if you've spent your whole riding life going to gas stations, and it doesn't matter what brand it is, it's always black is gasoline and green is diesel, but BP switches that. Maybe they're in cahoots with the car mechanics. I don't know, but they switch it, and now we've got green. And so some of us know that's what BP does, but apparently one of our group didn't, and he got the black handle, which at BP is diesel, and filled up his motorcycle. And so we get a bottle of water, everybody. Now we're taking off. Everybody cranks up, and when this guy cranked his bike, it sounded like an explosion. It sounded like a bazooka. I've never heard of bazooka, but like a cannon, like a tank. This boom. And then we all looked around, thought we were getting shot at. And then this cloud of smoke comes out. I mean, it's like smoke the level of the dedication of Solomon's temple. I mean, it is smoke. We can hardly see anything. But what I did see when he revved it up, put it in gear, revved up, we saw fire coming out of both of his beautiful chrome exhaust pipes. So a cannon sound, smoke, and actual flames of fire. It actually looked pretty cool. And immediately he stops and goes, something's wrong with my bike. And then one of the old veterans said, did you put the black handle? Did you put diesel in your bike? And so we all had a good laugh about it. But here's what we had to do. We had to empty the tank, and we had to flush it out with gasoline a couple of times, and then we had to refill it. We had to empty the diesel, clean that tank out, and refill it. I don't know what you're filling your head, your heart, your calendar with, but to think like a leader, we've got to fill our heads with this word. We've got to fill our life with the things of God. We've got to fill our brains and our minds and our emotions and our calendar and our days with things that build our faith, with things that strengthen our spirit and our soul. And if we're not, we have to empty it out, clean it out, and refill it with the right things. So let me encourage you. Let's look at Stephen's life. And he was described by these people, just random people who knew him. He is full of faith. I want us to be like that. I want to be full of faith. I want to have a faith response no matter what is going on around me. He said he's full of faith in the Holy Spirit. Then the next one's full of grace and power. Oh, I want to be filled with God's grace. I want my heart to be so filled with grace that what comes out of my mouth is grace. And then that power, and then the final summary as he's dying. That guy was full of the Holy Spirit. May we be filled with the Holy Spirit on a daily basis so that the people around us, believers or not, go, whatever he's full of, this Holy Spirit thing, he's filled with the Holy Spirit, I want that. So think like a leader. Make sure you're filling your life with the things of God.